understanding of history. Then he wrote tragedies. King Lear, Othello, other tragedies. He discussed the basic issues responsible to create tragic incidents in human life. Jealousy is one of those factors which is found in each and every human being at all different periods of his life. Even a child, when he has got a toy, he is very possessive. And he does not allow anyone to think as he thinks about his toy. Which means we normally do not want to share the way we feel about others. But a poet and an author invites you to look at things the way he looks at them, to feel about different things as he feels about them. This is the main difference between an artist and non-artist. You see, a very good example I'll give you, that if a painting is there on a wall or on a piece of paper, 10 different persons watching that particular painting will have 10 different impressions. And normally, the impressions do not match each other. Similarly, when we meet a person, you see, we have different impression or we form a different opinion about that person, and other 9 persons with us meeting the same person will have different impressions. Which means that when we are studying history, so it depends who has written that particular history, or who has collected facts about that age and arranged them in a historic manner. You see, be it history or any other subject, you cannot leave that subject without influencing personally. Always an artist, a poet, a story writer, a playwright, when they produce something, they are definitely speaking their mind in one way or the other. You see, for example, Thomas Hardy, in his novels, he has definitely produced both optimistic and pessimistic novels. Similarly, other authors and writers, you see, they write and they produce pieces of art according to their inner mood. You cannot say that this particular piece of art is not at all inspired or impressed by any author. Authors are also human beings like you and I. And when they live in a particular age, so definitely they are affected by the factors existing in that particular age. Now, the response of that writer may be negative or positive to that particular age. For example, when we speak about Chaucer, Bunyan, Pope, etc., so we know that all of them are differently impressed by the factors existing in their different ages. Age of Pope was very, very practical and pragmatic. Things were being discovered. The age was going through a transitional period from Augustan Romantic. And their responses, especially poetically, their responses were very different. The way Pope and Dryden looked at life, Wordsworth and Coleridge did not. Dryden and Pope did not mix their sentiments with what they produced, the way Wordsworth and Coleridge did. Pope and Dryden were very practical in their approach, very objective in their approach. But Coleridge, Wordsworth, they were very subjective. They peeped inside the human soul. They did not look through the window. Rather, they lived with the event itself. When we analyze Alexander Pope's work, for example, Rape of the Lock, the very title also suggests that He was quite non-romantic. He looked at a tree, taking into account all physical features of that tree. But when Coleridge or Wordsworth looked at the tree, he was not moved by the structure of the tree, but rather he was moved by the impact that the tree created in that particular environment or atmosphere. When we meet a person, either we are impressed by the dressing or by the makeup. Alexander Pope and Dryden were impressed by the dress and the makeup. But Coleridge and Wordsworth were impressed by how that person moved, how that person spoke, and how that person felt about different objects. You may say that if Pope looked through the window, Wordsworth lived with the people and tried to share their feelings deeply. Students, try to understand the historic factor. Pope and Dryden preferred city life. They shared city feelings. But Wordsworth, Coleridge, they were not impressed apparently. They were impressed inwardly. They could peep into the hearts of the people and they could share and read their hearts. Romantic age founded by Coleridge and Wordsworth. For the first time, students of literature to read the minds of different authors, to feel with the authors as they felt. And as the time went by, once again, like the 18th century, things became objective. And during the 20th century, both objectivity and subjectivity were mixed together. They say that romantic poets wrote with their hearts. But the 20th century poets wrote both with their mind and with their heart. Students, while reading history, there are two different ways. Number one, only to study history objectively, collect different historic events, and secondly, to analyze history, to peep into history. And history of English literature actually invites all the students to peep into history, not only to understand history as a record, but to understand history as a window. Because when you look through the window, definitely there are certain scenes which catch your eyes. And sometimes your eyes are fixed on certain scenes. It all depends upon your interest. Your eyes get fixed with those scenes which you are interested in deeply. And scenes which you are not interested in, you simply pass by. Similar is human life. All events of human life do not affect or do not affect deeply. Their impact is very light. But some events are so strong that they change your life, that they shape your life, that they direct your life. For example, you see, all days of a human being in his life are not equal. His birthday, his wedding day, his engagement day, and all similar events are more important than the other ordinary events. They change their life, they shape their life. Definitely, when a person gets married, he learns or tries to learn to share his ideas and feelings with another person. And those who understand this secret lead a better, successful life. And those who fail to understand this secret normally have a very disturbed life. So, my students, remember that studying history does not mean only reading the cover page of a book. Studying history means going through each and every page of that book. Because